Hey, good afternoon, Andrea, and thank you for taking my call. We're watching up here in northwestern Ontario, we have a situation developing with the Thunder Bay Regional Health Sciences Centre where a doctor from southern Ontario who was up here as a locum doctor ended up testing positive for COVID, and we've had 250 patients and staff at the hospital now undergoing COVID-19 tests. What should we be doing in terms of, they're talking about starting to do regional opening, but it seems as we move forward, there's a lot less people following the social distancing. I'd like to get your comments on this.
Well, that's very troubling news, James, and I hadn't heard it until just now. But I do have to say that this is, I think, a real clear indicator of why it is that the requirement for distancing continues to be in place and why public health experts continue to ask people to wear masks. Because the bottom line is the masks don't protect you from getting COVID, but they do prevent you from spreading COVID. And so this is, I think, as we look to the opening of the economy that may be coming, whether it's regionally based or not, and that we know is already starting to take place, we have to be ever vigilant, and we have to remind people constantly that the best way forward and the way that we can successfully get to a place where folks are back to work and the economy is starting to be more robust again, it can only happen with people taking seriously the necessity of the distancing and the masks. And so I think it's a tragic example, but it's a very clear example of why this is still necessary. And it also speaks to the fact, in my opinion, that the government needs to be more proactive in ensuring that PPE is available for workers and employers so that we don't see the spread in workplaces as we open the economy.
Now, what's happening here in Thunder Bay, there's about 700 plus cases that are still pending. We're waiting for the test results. They're hoping to get them by Wednesday or Thursday. Families of people who've contacted COVID up in Northern Ontario, and right now they're only reporting 3 positive cases in the hospital, 2 or 3 cases. It's not like Southern Ontario. There's been a lot of really hard work done up here in the north for people for social distancing, and at a certain level it's aided by our geography. We're further apart than you are down in Southern Ontario just by geography. But what we're seeing is a lot of families that have a lot of questions, and they're having a hard time getting some of the answers. I think local health officials are up to their knees or deeper into it right now, but it's a matter of communication sometimes, and that's an area where we seem to be doing well at some levels, but could we be doing better?
Well, James, I mean, you've touched on an important problem and concern that I've had for some time is the mixed messages that come from Mr. Ford and the government. Those mixed messages create uncertainty and lack of clarity, and that's not a good thing ever. But to have that kind of uncertainty or lack of clarity during a pandemic is very, very dangerous. And so, when the Premier says to folks, don't go to visit your mother on Mother's Day because you might be putting her and other family members at risk, then he has his kids come to visit their mother at his place. When he says don't go to the cottage, and then he turns around and goes to the cottage, again, it sends a mixed signal. And I would even say that having the MPPs all show up to vote in the legislature, when we're telling everybody else that you have to stay in groups of 5 and no more, that's a mixed message. And so these mixed messages cause concerns. But what we do need to do is continue to encourage people or require people to wear the mask or face covering of some kind. They need to continue with the distancing, and the government needs to step up to the plate in terms of the testing writ large across the province, which we still know is not consistently hitting the targets. We have to make sure that the contact tracing is much more, robust and we need to have complete confidence in that. We need to again make sure that there's access to PPE and to inspectors, so that again, as the economy opens, we have an assurance that that the workplaces that require inspections, or when a worker feels that perhaps the COVID-19 precautions are not being properly undertaken by the employer, that inspectors are going in to inspect those workplaces. So there's a lot of work that still, I think, is needing to be done, and that the Premier needs to ensure is up to par in order to have Ontarians be confident that the reopening, whether it's regionally based or not, is one that's going to avoid a second wave coming within the next couple of weeks.
This is James with NetNewsLedger. Stay tuned and stay safe and stay subscribed. Join us on YouTube or Facebook.